Hi everyone, and welcome to 2-Player Quest, where I help you on your quest to find the best 2-player board games for you. In today's video, I have Heroes of the Shire by Senior Games. Heroes of the Shire is a turn-based combat game that can be played at either an arena mode, in which it is a PvP or a PvE sometimes, but you can make teams if you want to, or in scenario mode, which is co-op, players versus an enemy. So it's a very varying game with about 20 characters with over 800 unique spells and abilities. So it's a very big and extensive game. But is it a game for you, and what is it like? Well, let's explore. Heroes of the Shire is a game for 1 to 6 players that plays in about 30 minutes per player. This also depends on the game mode you're playing. If you're playing the scenario mode, so the co-op version, it definitely takes quite a long time. If you're playing the PvP, so the arena version, then yeah, I can see the 30 minutes per player. It's at a 3.75 on Board Game Geek for complexity, so it's definitely a medium game, nudging a bit more towards hard for complexity, and it is a no luck game. There are no dice rolls involved. The dice are used to sort of keep track of stuff, but there's no dice rolls. It's all tactics, strategy, and making the right decisions. This is what the board could look like at the start of a 2-player game. On this side I have the warrior, on the other side I have the scholar with all their tokens, dice, everything they need, and the warrior has their handy quick reference guide here. I will be explaining the arena mode and how that works. Once you know how that works, you can go read the rules for the scenario mode, as it's basically the same but with a different enemy. There are very useful cheat sheet cards that you will be using in this game, because there are a lot of tokens, as you can see, and a lot of things that need to be done. So when it is your turn, you start with your upkeep. So you start with token upkeep. Sometimes you would place tokens on these parts. This is when you place their effects and when you move them along. Then you have the dice cooldown phase. Once you've used an ability, you can see here certain things say CD. So that's the cooldown. So in this case, that would have a cooldown die of 4. So in the dice upkeep step, you would turn this 4 to a 3. And then once there's no more dice on that action, that's when you can do it again. Then comes the hero upkeep. Certain heroes, like for example the warrior, have certain abilities that happen during your hero upkeep. You select a stance from these ones here at the bottom, and you choose one to be in for that turn. Then it is the main phase. That's when you choose to do an action. In this case, they chose to go into brawl stance, meaning they have the access to these actions as well as these actions at the bottom. So the brawl stance is specifically these 2 actions. Defense stance is these, support stance is these. This is all explained on your quick reference, and it all varies per player. But you choose to do one action. In this case, they choose to charge. So they do 5 damage plus strength. So strength in this case is 5, so that's 10 damage. Plus a knockback, which is this token here, which if you look at the quick reference, does something. So in this case, they would do 10 damage to the other player, but the other player can defend. The targeted enemy takes the amount done and subtracts the defense. So that's this def here. On the other character, that is 4. So 10 minus 4 equals 6. So they take 6 damage. And they take that off their HP, which is at the top there. Then it is the end phase. Sometimes things trigger in the end phase for that character. This is when that happens. Then, on the initiative order track, you show it has been your turn, and then it is the other player's turn, or whomever is next in the initiative order, and they do the same as you just did. And that's basically how the game works. In arena mode, you keep going until either player has died, killed the other one. If you play with teams, it's until they've killed the other team. And if you play scenarios, you have to go through certain hoops. The game will explain what those hoops are. And that's a quick overview of this game. Teaching this game to new players is quite hard and complex. Teaching the basics will probably take you anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, depending on their prior experiences, and then getting to know your new character will take you about another 10. You get a character board, the extra specials board, your quick reference for what your character can do. It is a lot to take in. So it definitely takes a while, and some characters have even extra special things. So in general, quite hard, will take a while. Because this is such a fast game, I'm going to basically separate this in two parts, the arena mode and the scenario mode. When it comes to the arena mode, if you are someone who likes diving into a new character, likes taking the time to learn what your character does, learn how to best use your character's abilities, and learn those combos by playing it a few times, stuff like that, and you want to do that a lot because there are 20 different characters in this game. So that is quite a big game that you can really sink your teeth into if that's something you like. Scenario mode is quite similar. You really need to sink your teeth into a character, but you play that character for a lot longer. In the arena mode, you play it for a battle, you can switch out if you want, but in scenario mode, you're playing it the whole scenario. So you're playing it for a lot of battles. So that's when you can really sink your teeth into a character. But one very important thing in this game is you have to like maths. You are calculating and calculating and recalculating and calculating every turn. No matter what happens, if it's somebody else's turn, stuff on your board changes. When it's your turn, stuff on your board changes. And you are constantly recalculating everything. So if you don't like calculations, this is not your game. While we really liked this game when we played it at the con, and that's also the reason why we bought it, after we took it home and played it a while, we basically came to the conclusion that we don't like it at all. The main thing that spoke to us at the start was all the characters, all the special abilities they could do. There are 20 characters, there's so much in this box that you could do stuff with. So we liked the scenario mode mainly because we like co-op games at this point in time. I've sort of fed up with losing. So I like co-op games at this point. So we could play together against an enemy. That spoke to us. But while we were playing this, we quickly came to the conclusion that we don't like it because we are constantly recalculating. And I mean constantly because what felt like every 10 seconds something changed. So you can think, I'm gonna do this, and then something happens, and then that's a stupid idea. You have to recalculate again, and again, and again, and again, and that just kept going. And after a while, that got very boring for us, because that's not what we are looking for in a board game. Now, we've had games before in which you need to recalculate, like Explore It, but that was recalculating every now and again. You had stats, based on those stats, something happened. Now, if that stat got upped, for example, and that happened maybe every once in 30 minutes while you were playing that game, then you changed the number you wrote down and you sort of continued on. Here you have to constantly recalculate because, I'm getting +2 dexterity, but you gave me -3, but that bonus gives me +5. And it just gets so confusing and, for us, extremely boring and annoying after a while. So in general, this game for us is on our to sell list, and we hope to make someone else happy with this game who does like those kind of things, who loves that recalculation, who loves constantly looking at what is the best options, because those people are out there. It's just not us. So playing with more or less players in this game is all basically scaled really well in general because there's nothing to scale, basically. In PvP, if you have more players, then you have more players to attack. You also have more players that can attack you. It is a different dynamic than if you're playing with 2, if you play with 6, for example. You can choose to play in teams if you have more, which is also a lot of fun. But scaling-wise, it just happens to whomever is first on the initiative track. So if you're first on the initiative track, you go first. No matter how many people you play, everybody still gets an X amount of turns. So in general, there is not really much scaling, at least when it comes to the PvP. The scenarios when you play co-op is pretty much the same. It's all still initiative based. So the enemy has an initiative, you have an initiative, your components has an initiative. So there isn't much scaling, it's just initiative orders. So in general, I would say it is a good 2-player game. It is a good 3-player game. It just works with whatever amount you're playing with. Now, of course, the PvP version slightly differs with the amount of players you have, but in general, I would say it works well at every player count. And that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching our review of Heroes of the Shire. If you want to see another one of my reviews, you can click up here. If you have any comments, feedback, or suggestions, you can put them down below, and I look forward to seeing you next time on 2-Player Quest.